Alright guys, Subscriber here, back again today with some more news. Players are officially, well not officially, we don't have any announcements of where players are signing yet, but it very much seems like a lot of players are signing their contracts for the upcoming CDL season in 2020. A lot of players have tweeted about it, a few players have tweeted things maybe hinting that they are, a couple of players have tweeted something that very heavily implies that they are in fact signed for a team. We don't yet know what those teams are, but I'm sure you guys can feel free to speculate. So, you know, they haven't announced their actual team yet. I'm guessing the organisation and the franchise wants to keep things under wraps for the time being, make sure the contract stuff is sorted, sort the rest of the team around them, and then do some nice announcement where everyone gets announced at the same time. And, you know, maybe these sort of things when they happen in other esports, some of the details get leaked to some journalists to announce, and then it keeps the whole kind of industry ecosystem up and running. But, you know, there isn't really where we're at yet in Call of Duty. We don't have the guys like DK and Nell like we do in CSGO per se. Maybe it'll happen in the future. Today is the 11th of September, so Memorial Day in the United States and really the rest of the world, and probably because of that, for a large part, they are not, and they're not releasing the beta today for Modern Warfare. It's going to happen tomorrow. So this is a tweet very recently from Call of Duty saying early access to the Modern Warfare beta begins tomorrow exclusively on PS4. For now, if you have pre-ordered it or if you have a beta code, whatever, you can now download it. So to pre-download it on the PlayStation Store. So you can play it as soon as it goes live, probably sometime tomorrow. So yeah, like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. To start with, wanted to talk about Luminosity and Seattle. Rumours came around yesterday that Luminosity may own the Seattle spot for the upcoming CDL season. And it was a pretty damn big rumour that if Seattle is going to be a spot, it's happened for really several days now. And Luminosity announced, I'm pretty sure this is yesterday, that Luminosity Gaming and Enthusiast Gaming announced acquisition of interest in Overwatch League esports team. So they've bought, I'm guessing it's Vancouver or something by this image. I haven't actually clicked on the article, but anyway, seems like some sort of joint venture here, acquiring a spot in the Overwatch League. This kind of implies that a similar thing may be happening for the Call of Duty League. We know a lot of teams like Splyce, for example, aren't going into that Toronto spot completely as Splyce. They're partnering with another organisation that is helping them with the financing, and then Luminosity and Splyce, respectively, if that is the case, would help with the management and understanding the ecosystem and the players and all of these kind of things. So it kind of makes sense to do it as a partnership. This would kind of imply that maybe something like that would be similar. I doubt there would be another a Vancouver spot, given there's already a Toronto spot. So I'd imagine we're going to see Seattle. At least that's heavily rumoured, as you can see in this tweet here from Intel Call of Duty, which I will link down below. Rumour Seattle to be a location in the Call of Duty World League. Heard about this months ago. The last few weeks I've been hearing more and more. The confusing part, they all tell me it's owned by Luminosity, or at least part owned by Luminosity. We'll have to see how it goes over the next few weeks. But that's the rumour. If you live near the Seattle area, that'd be pretty damn cool. I'm obviously holding out for a London spot, which I doubt will happen, but you never know. So moving onwards here, I feel like we should touch on, okay, before we get to that, Matt Mr. X, this is only a really brief 9-second clip. Pretty much all he says is that he's very interested in the CDL next year, and we'll see what happens in terms of getting involved. You guys who may not have been around so long, Matt Mr. X was a coach way back in the day on Complexity. Was it Black Ops 2 Ghosts? I think maybe it was Ghosts. He was a coach for them. And then he became a caster during the Black Ops 3 season especially. He did a lot of events. And then he moved over to the Overwatch League. And, you know, he likes Overwatch with Activision Blizzard. Puckett has done the same thing, going over and working with Overwatch. So, possible the Mr. X may come back and do some Call of Duty related stuff, you know, relatively soon coming up. It's definitely possible, considering if you guys follow CSGO, Semler, I believe, did an event, a CSGO event, maybe it was ESL 1 Cologne earlier this year, and he's contracted to Activision Blizzard, so it took them ages to figure that out. And if they did manage to figure that out, then I'm sure it would be possible for Mr. X to come back and do some Call of Duty stuff, given it's Activision Blizzard owns, which would be cool to see. If you guys know Mr. X, I think he was pretty damn good at what he did. Moving onwards then, let's discuss Doug Sinter-Martin a little bit. So this is a quick screenshot. This is a video, or at least a thing he did live on Twitch yesterday. I don't want to go over this for too long. I don't want to title a video on it because, you know, Doug seems to have gone off the rails a little bit, and, you know, a lot of people, some people are slightly worried for his mental health because, okay, you can easily say, you know, he's just doing this for views, he's just riling up people, he's getting people to debate about him, fair enough. but to some degree he seems to have been going a little bit off the rails, and I'm slightly concerned. He did this yesterday. He did a video like, I've taken the biggest L of all time, dressed up like a clown on stream. I'll share with you guys a couple of clips from originally like Dashi and Blaz talking about the jet ski situation, if you don't remember that. Doug was like, I don't know if he did a Twitter video or something about him riding a jet ski, and Blaz talks about it in a video saying that he couldn't get him on for scrims because he was on this jet ski, and then Doug does he has a little clip talking about himself, and someone subscribes to the stream named Jet Ski. So I'll play those now.
There was no censor and I played with them.
Yo, I miss Doug, bro.
Oh, all I remember is, yo, what time are we scrimming today? Yo, guys, can't scrim. I'm like, why? I'm sick. 2 hours later, I'm on a jet ski, woo!
Bro, you don't gotta do my mans like that, bro.
Yeah, that shit was...
Yo.
Dude, I was so pissed off,
Bro, I was mine.
And when I get my opportunity, I am going to make the absolute most of it. Because that's who I am as a person. And when you paint this picture of me as skipping practice and going to jet ski, I take that as the highest level of disrespect. So you need to own up to your actions, and you have to take accountability for yourself. It is unacceptable behavior, and I am sorry that I have to say this.
We guys went to this event, and then we go.
I wanted more than anything. I wanted more than any amount of money. I wanted more than any amount of fame.
Any more amount of money. That's number one.
Amount of success.
This guy,
cars,
bro.
boats, yachts, a healthy, happy family, whatever. Like,
Oh, come on, what are
I
you
am willing to do anything.
Anything.
If I believe in it. Justified for me to tell people my experiences and the things that I've went through. I'm not asking for a handout. I've never asked for handouts in my life. I would be grateful to be a starter, who wouldn't? But if I'm a substitute player, I would be extremely grateful, and I've already confirmed that with multiple teams who have reached out to me to be their substitute, and I said I would gladly be your substitute. So let's just get that straight.
So it's kind of funny, but on the one hand, it's kind of worrying, maybe. I don't know. And you know, this was it yesterday with his live stream. Truly ridiculous stuff what I'm seeing here. And just to move on from that, a little bit of a segue real quick. Maybe this is the better one to show first. So didn't want to be that guy, but Doug is sort of acting like FusiTube, and I'm sure some of you guys are aware of FusiTube. I've at least heard the name, haven't really followed his channel that closely. But this individual says, I feel like Doug is having a manic episode because he's acting very similar to FusiTube when he was having new episodes, driven to do big things, made him lose his sanity more and more as he failed, the same way Doug seems to be losing his sanity now. I don't know if this actually is the case with Doug. Maybe he's perfectly mentally sound and he's just doing these things because he wants to make an impression, or he's trying to build his YouTube presence and keep the attention on him, which is fair enough. But at the same time, I don't want to be going around laughing at a guy that could be experiencing mental illness, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to talk about it too much at length. I thought I would leave that for you guys to be open about, because when you're calling Doug like a maniac and whatever's going on, and him appearing to lose the plot, maybe it's worth considering, like, is that a fair assessment of the situation? I don't know. I'll leave that up for you guys. So this follows up. So in that stream, Killer says, Blaz really got a contract though, hashtag burger. And supposedly, I didn't see the stream, but Macat and Scraps and a few others in chat seem to confirm also. And, M. Pendleberry 1993 following up with a similar comment. So, interesting stuff here. This kind of started a wave of tweets that I saw yesterday discussing potential franchise purchases. Blast getting a spot would be pretty interesting. There's also another very interesting player I thought I would go over in a few minutes' time here that also could potentially have a franchise spot. But obviously, right now, it's completely up in the air. We don't know what the situation is, and we don't know what it holds. But Silly tweets this out yesterday. It's official, contract being signed. A pretty good gift, to be honest. And it's pretty indicative, right? Like, you see something like this. Is this bait? I would doubt it, to be honest. A few replies to this were attached. Don't read into any of this kind of stuff. We know how pros like to bait on the timeline and say different things. I think it was quite interesting the other day. There was some bait that went around on the timeline, and then some of it was deleted. And I wonder if that's because agents are telling their players to keep that kind of stuff off the timeline. So maybe the end of an era to some degree, but I don't think they can stop anything. Pros are always going to bait, and we know how it is in Call of Duty. Everyone likes saying all this stuff on Twitter, and a lot of pros replying to this. So I imagine this is pretty true. Where Silly goes is interesting. I don't know what the team could potentially be. I wouldn't be that surprised if we saw some sort of reunion from when Silly had success in the Boots on the Ground titles. Maybe he keeps Assault or something, and I wonder what the team would be. But interesting to see. Silly seems to have, if he's been signed this early. A lot of other players maybe still considering options, maybe haven't been signed quite yet. This would be a pretty early signage for Silly to have been snapped up like this. So impressive stuff. Of course, he was very good on the Boots of the Ground game in World War II. Wasn't quite as good, I guess, this year. Still had some degree of success, but world champion, reigning world champion on the Boots on the slower pace Boots on the Ground title. Not, of course, reigning world champion, but World War II, Modern Warfare, going to be relatively similar, probably in terms of pace. Black Ops 4 very different. So I know a lot of organizations are looking through that kind of lens, especially with what Riven and JP were talking about on Twitter, which is the New York franchise. So maybe that should be my guess. I don't know. Scrap says this then, we did go through this tweet yesterday. Today was easily a top 2 day in my life. And this tweet to follow up, he says, is this fake? We have like the London CoD Twitter account, which I can almost confirm is fake. I've just been following it just in case it happens to be real. I reckon someone's just started this up to try and sell this at, if there is a London spot at some point, to like, you know, sell the Twitter handle is what it's called. Liam Hudson replies, doesn't look like it, Matty. Welcome home, brother. I ain't trying to ruin the party, but I'm signed elsewhere, Liam. And I thought he deleted this tweet, but it turns out he hasn't. So seems like Scraps has signed. And Wuskin says the same thing. Nothing will ever beat the day I seen my mum get married, but today it nearly topped it. Forever thankful for all of this. Announcements coming soon. If this is what I think it is, congratulations, mate. Congrats, kid, says Scraps. Now, there's been rumours for a while that Scraps, Wuskin and Dylan could potentially be a team of 3 that people are considering, or at least are considering to play together. So these announcements from Scraps and Wuskin come in very short succession. If that is the 3, you know, the trio, I did talk about it at the end of a video a few days ago, saying if those are your trio, how else do you finish off your European God Squad? A lot of people were saying you put Zero in there, you put Jerd in there, and that sounds pretty scary to me. So we'd have to see how it goes, but if these 2 have been signed, probably to the same team, you would say, right? After being on different teams in the latter half of this year, Red Reserve, then FaZe, then, you know, elsewhere. It seems like Scraps maybe has gone elsewhere from FaZe, which maybe means it's less and less likely that FaZe are getting a spot in the league. We'll just have to see how this one develops across time. However, Pristini says the opposite. Got to work my way up and prove people wrong again. Always up for a challenge. Interesting tweet because, you know, if he's a back-to-back champion, right? He's won Miami playoffs and then he's won the World Championship. So if he's having to prove people wrong again, this kind of implies that maybe he had something lined up with a team and then they've gone and, you know, got rid of him for someone else or something like that. To me, that's what it implies. You guys might have a different opinion. Stats, kills, player cards. Yeah, so if that is the case and he's been rejected from a team because of statistics or whatever, then maybe he won't be teaming with some of his former teammates. We know the situation with Atlanta, rumored to have Simp and Abizi on it. Maybe Pristini was hoping to slot in there, which would have been kind of nice. Or maybe play with his brother wherever he might be going. Maybe Envy was rumored a long time ago, but I'm just really throwing names out there right now, which would be the Dallas spot. So yeah, interesting stuff for sure. And the last thing I wanted to talk about before I ended the video was this from Wemman. Finally, things are looking up for me. Secure the bag, so a bit of dominoes going on. But then, you know, which tweet am I looking at? Let me get off this tweet. I want to be back on this one. Okay, I've messed this up a tiny little bit. This is the tweet I was looking at. Alex, congrats, bro. You really deserved it. Thanks, bro. Been a long time coming. Yeah, Nolson run it up, and King Phoenix. So Phoenix of he was a former Enigma 6 coach, I think, or something like that. He's been working around for a long time. Grats, man, you deserve it. Actually disgusting on the 6, hard work finally paying off. So honestly, a lot of implications there that Wemman might even have a spot after his performances on units, which would be really interesting, and big congratulations if he has. So it seems like players are starting to sign. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.